Hello again, Chet Lampert, my journey to personal freedom. Another episode here. So last few days, I think the last taping was the 24th. Today's the 28th of August, 2019. The last few days, I got in the gyroscope. I was able to fully hook it up with the FPGA. That's just what I use normally is FPGAs because I can put a processor in there or whatever. Sorry, this is going to be technical this week. Pretty technical, so bear with me. The FPGA with the processor, and I can interface with it with this thing's called SPI protocol. Whatever, it's just how you get data off this device. There's tons of ways, but this is the one that they chose to use for this part. Went ahead and built me a rig that is able to spin it around exactly in a circle when I want. It's basically just a door hinge that can spin around 360 degrees. So it's pretty easy. Just got a Home Depot and a stick and hooked it up, connected it to a cinder block, and then wired that sucker to the FPGA. Figured out the software. It was giving me all kinds of errors to start with, mainly just I don't know how to use it in the beginning because I've never used this part before, but figured it out reading the spec. Had to change a few things to get the software working with it properly. That took a few days actually, not a couple days, a few days. It was harder than I thought. I finally figured out it was giving me some CST fault, basically a system check fault. On the device, and I couldn't figure it out for a day and a half why it was doing it. And then I finally realized that that's just if you kind of hit that thing too hard, it'll give you values that are outside what it thinks are normal, and so it doesn't like that, and it gives you this little error. So I figured that out. Now when I see the error, I just ignore that data sample and then redo it. So I went ahead and did 800 motions for this gyroscope, full circle and partial circles, over circles, definitely. I want to be able to tell with using machine learning if I can tell a circle versus a not circle. That's the simplest thing. And just because I've never done like a real machine learning program before, so I had to figure out how to do something that was the simplest thing, using something like what I'll be using going forward with the dance idea. So I was able to get those 800 runs of the gyroscope data, and then the last 2 days I've been trying to input it into this the machine learning code. It's called like TensorFlow. It's built on top of this Python language, and then it's this Keras interface, Keras or whatever interface. I don't know. None of that I've used before, so I'm kind of fumbling my way through. I was finally, luckily I have a guy at work that's actually programmed with it before. Like I know the concepts of machine learning, and I've done the crash course, but that just goes over the concept. It doesn't go over coding, like actually how you really do it, rubber meets the road type stuff. And because it's complicated, and it's just there's a billion ways to skin the cat in this kind of thing. So I got code from him, and he was kind of trying to help me out, but then I'm doing this certain type of data. It's time data and not image data, and you've got to treat it differently. You got to input it differently. You got to use convolutional coding differently. Everything's different about it. So I went ahead and finally, late today, I was able to finally import. Like we were having tons of problem importing my data, the actual data files that I generated. Well, I generated data files, and I had to write a program to actually make them look like something this tool can take in. So I did all that. That stuff I know how to do. It's just this tool, this TensorFlow, and how to deal with the data and all that is. The last 2 days have been like just confusion, nothing but confusion. But I was able to finally get one of my data files in there. So tomorrow I'm hoping that I can actually run through and get the basic building blocks of the machine learning done and see if it can train on this data. The hard part was, since the other guy that I know, this guy Sumit at work, he's done this in a class, but he's never done this type of data. He's only done image data, like I was saying earlier. So he didn't know how to do it either. Well, I finally figured out at least to get the data in. He knows the rest of it. I hope it's going to be smooth tomorrow, and I'll bang out at least the beginnings of a beginning neural network, and to see if I can train. Once I get the flow, like data captured, data formatted properly, data input, and machine learning algorithm created, then output results, and then feeding new validation data on it, then I'm home free, because then I can take it from there and actually massage the algorithm, massage the machine learning, do different nodes and whatever. That's the kind of thing that you need to play with to get the algorithm done right. And once that works and you can export like the fixed algorithm, hopefully, I heard you can do it in an FPGA, but I don't really want to do it in FPGA. I want to implement it in software because I want it to run on a phone. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to export it into software, but I have no idea how hard that's gonna be. I'm sure someone's done it. And I'm sure it's complicated. So hopefully it's not crazy complicated and it won't be so difficult to do it. But I highly doubt that, because everything is complicated. It's just the way the world is. I mean, there's just so much to learn, and there's only so much one human can know at any one given time, and I don't know any of this stuff. So it's kind of neat. It's interesting. It's like Naval Ravikant and Jordan Peterson. They're always like moving forward, always learning new things, learning your craft. And this is some of the things that I haven't done before. So I got to dive into it. If I don't dive into it, who's going to do it for me? Like, I can hire someone, but then I'm not going to know. And I need to know. Even if I eventually do hire an expert to do it for real, I'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'll be able to talk to him like an expert, and I'll know exactly what he's doing. He won't be able to fool me. Just like when I know about the stuff I learned about motion capture, so I can communicate with these motion capture companies. And then now what I learned about machine learning, I got to actually do it. If I don't do it, I don't feel like I know it and I can speak effectively about it. It's all just, I don't like normally talking when I don't know what I'm talking about, like in detail. Or at least I've had some experience, and it's not just a textbook. That's like taking a training course. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Hopefully there's examples and that helps. But you got to do a real problem outside of the test and the learning world on your own before I feel I really know it. I'm not sure how other people work, but that's the only way I know how to do something, is I've got to come up with my own problem using whatever tool or new concepts or whatever I've learned recently. I try to apply it to some real world problem and go from beginning to end and see the whole process. Then I feel confident to speak about it. Other than that, I mean, I know a lot of guys, they can sound like experts, and I know one of these examples happened a few years ago. This guy, I won't name his name because I'm going to bash him right now. So this guy, he's normally a really bright guy, and he talks a lot about a ton of different fields. It's like you think he's an expert at all this stuff. But then one day, he starts talking to me about FPGAs, and this is something that by that time I was pretty damn experienced in, and I know that he had never done, maybe in college, maybe exercise in college, FPGAs, and I knew for a fact he didn't know how to do anything in hardware. And he was able to speak to me like as if he really knew the subject, and that kind of scared me. That made me think about it a little bit. Like, you shouldn't be able, I mean, how do I word this? It was surprising that he was able to do that, sound like an expert, and I knew he didn't know what he was, like, he got the general abstract concepts, but he didn't know how to do any of it, and he could talk about it like an expert, and that was amazing to me. And that's something that I don't do. I don't think he should do. I don't think anyone should do. You shouldn't talk, and this is directly something Jordan Peterson says. He's like, it's not the truth if you don't really live it. So like, you can say, don't cheat on your wife, but one of the examples that you can give is, I could say, don't cheat on my wife. I mean, don't cheat on your wife because it's, it makes you a bad person, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, if I was fucking around, I can't really say that. I can't give that advice if I don't live it. You know what I mean? Like, don't make sure you keep your family close. You make sure you call people, and like, don't go telling people that advice if you don't actually follow it yourself. So I think it's sort of in the same realm where, I don't think you should be talking like you're an expert in some subject and you haven't really lived it. You haven't gone through the learning and the effort and the turmoil and the struggles with the technology, and you want to talk about it like you're an expert. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's something that I don't think I ever really do. Maybe as a kid I just bullshit about things, but definitely not now, and not about work stuff. It's not, I don't think it's ethical, but neither here nor there. It was just kind of a story, and it's one of those lessons, and I think I already took it to heart from Peterson. Is like, you're supposed to speak the truth, and that'll lead you to the right direction, and things will just get better. It's your best shot at things getting better is living the truth and speaking the truth. And living the truth means, if you say eat healthy to people, you better eat healthy. Don't go spouting off nonsense if you're not really living it. And don't talk about subjects where you don't really have a real knowledge, and that's one of those lessons. And then the other lesson from him and Naval Ravikant is definitely constant learning, moving forward and getting things done. And that's the way you learn, is to do. That's how I learn. I don't learn, like, I can learn in college and learn in books, and I can get A's on tests, but it's until you're doing, you're not really learning. I don't think it's not real. It's not true. Like Jordan would say, it's not like, you're not living the truth if you just abstract knowledge. I don't think, if it's not applied, if it's not used, I don't really feel I own it, So that, and the other lesson is what's going on. Hopefully tomorrow things go well and smoothly, but you know what? I can't imagine it will, because I just know how things go. Nothing's easy. That's the thing. You just gotta. I hit the damn blocks, and you gotta get through it. And today it was like, geez, I got all this convolutional algorithm, and I can run this neural network and blah blah blah. But if I can't get the data into the stupid tool, how in the hell am I gonna run it? So, I mean, I can load the physical data on the server and whatever, but I can't get the software to load the data properly so that I can actually operate on the data. It's like step one. Step one's a struggle. So if step one's a struggle, step 192 is going to be a tenfold struggle. But I can't get there unless I go through this struggle. So that's the constant learning, and that's how you apply it. That's how I apply it. At least that's how I think of it. All right. So that's kind of all I wanted to say today. Hopefully things go well, and I'll keep you updated. Bye.